Okay, so on page 328, we're talking about reference angles. The definition of a reference angle is to let theta be an angle in standard position, which means it starts with the positive x-axis. Its reference angle is the acute angle, which we label as theta prime, formed with the terminal side of theta and the horizontal axis. So in the picture, we start here at the positive x-axis, and we're going to rotate counterclockwise, so we get this big angle. To find the reference angle, we start at the terminal side and we form a triangle with the horizontal axis, which is the orange piece that I drew. We know the whole angle that I rotated is 210. I need to find just this little piece to find the reference piece. So we know the whole first two quadrants is 180, so 210 minus 180 gets our reference angle of 30. So let's try another one. So if I go to do letter A, I'm going to draw my picture, and I know that I'm going to be in the fourth quadrant. So there is 302 degrees. The reference piece that I want is going to be this little piece in here. Well, to find that little piece in here, I'm going to take the whole circle, so 360. I'm going to minus my 302, and this reference piece in here, what we call theta prime, is going to be equal to 58 degrees. Make sure you put your degree symbol. So now let's try letter B. Letter B is a negative, so it says I'm going to go negative 130. Well, if I go one quadrant, that's 90. I can't go two quadrants because that would be 180, so right here like this. So this is negative 130. We know the bottom two quadrants altogether are equal to 180. So if I do 180 minus my 130, I'm going to get a reference angle of 50 degrees. So that means this little piece in here is worth 50 degrees. So in this case, theta prime is equal to 50 degrees. Okay, letter C. Hopefully by now you know that 5 pi over 6 on the unit circle is right here. So this right here is going to be 5 pi over 6. And if you didn't know that, think about this. You know that the first two quadrants in radians are pi. This is just short of being a whole pi. It's 5 over 6. So I'm just short of the 180 or pi marker. I need to find this piece in here. So I'm going to use the same logic I just said. I know the first two quadrants are worth pi. So pi minus my 5 pi over 6, or 6 pi over 6, because that's still equal to pi, minus 5 pi over 6 is going to get me pi over 6. So I know that theta prime, or my reference angle, is pi over 6. So now let me grab my unit circle really quick, because we drew bow ties on our unit circle, and we did it for a very key reason, and here is the reason. If you have your unit circle and you draw the little colored bow ties, well then you know what your reference angles are on the unit circle. For example, if I were to ask you what the reference angle for 7 pi over 6 is, you're going to follow this yellow line back to the first quadrant. Its reference angle is pi over 6. Because this little piece right here is worth pi over 6. And so anything that's yellow on our unit circle or on my bow tie has a reference angle of pi over 6. And anything that is on the blue lines has a reference angle of pi over 4. And anything on my pink lines has a reference angle of pi over 6. And I'm only using these values because our reference angle has to be an acute angle, which is something that has to be in the first quadrant. So what you're going to do is you and a friend are going to do the bottom problems, but I want to do number 1 with you to give you an example, and then you're going to come back and check 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So let's do number 1 really quick. So if you're looking at page 238, it says that it's going to give you an angle, and it wants you to do two things. One, find something with coterminal that's between 0 degrees and 360, or 0 and 2 pi, depending on how you were given the problem or the angle to begin with. And then part B says find the reference angle. So number 1 says I have negative 420 degrees. So I'm going to draw it first. So I'm going to go negative. There's 360 degrees. And then I have to go 360. I have to go 60 more degrees to get my 420. So 60 more degrees, like right there. And you do that by saying, okay, so I don't care what direction, but I had 420 degrees. I only went 360. When you subtract these, you get 60 more degrees, and we know we have to go in the negative direction. So again, there's my negative 360 plus negative 60 more gets me my whole thing. And this piece right here is key, that 60, because now you know that this little piece right here is negative 60 degrees, or it's 60 degrees in the negative direction. So A wants you to find something coterminal, B wants you to find a reference angle. Well, when you do this, when you draw it, you actually have already found its reference angle. It's the 60 degrees. Because if you were to draw this on a bow tie, it would touch the 60-degree marker up in the first quadrant. To find something coterminal, and in this case it has to be between 0 and 360 degrees. So a negative 420, which means you went down and around and down and around, and right here. Well, instead of going down and around, I could have really just done this. I could have started here. My angle has to be positive, so I could have just started here and gone this distance. So let's find out what that distance is. Well, we know this piece right here is 60, which means we know this piece right here has to be 30, because every quadrant's worth 90. And now we can just add stuff up. We have to go through the first quadrant, through the second quadrant, and through the third quadrant. So we have to go like this to there. So 90 plus 90 plus 90 is my 270. Plus the 30 more that I have to go in the fourth quadrant gets me 300. So part A's answer is 300. Oops. Too many zeros. Let's try that one more time. Not 3,000. Part A's answer is 300 degrees. 300 degrees is coterminal to negative 420 because they start and end in the same place. And this 300 fits within my restriction. And letter B, something that is the reference angle to negative 420 degrees is 60 degrees. So now what you're going to do is you're going to try 2 through 7 with a partner and then come back to the video. So you need to pause it when I'm done explaining and check your answers. Okay, so you should have tried 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So for 2, my coterminal angle is 163 degrees and my reference angle is 17. For number 3, part A is 325 degrees and 35 degrees. Number 4 is 4 pi over 3 for coterminal and pi over 3 for reference. And that's actually the same answer I got for number 5. Number 6 is 10 pi over 13 for coterminal and 3 pi over 13 for reference. And number 7, 4 pi over 3 for coterminal and pi over 3 for the reference angle. If you have any questions on this material, make sure you post them on Edmodo.